Welcome to Wellbeing Wednesdays with Harbinder Narula. Today I'm super excited to have a very special guest with us, Suhani Shah. Suhani is an Indian mentalist, a YouTuber, and a magician. She left her school when she was in class 2 to pursue her passion, and since then, because she's been on tours, she has been homeschooled. Her first stage show was at the age of 16 or 17 and is now recognized as Jadoo Pari by the Indian Magic Association. Welcome, Suhani, the Jadoo Pari, to BW Wellbeing World. Yeah. So, welcome to Wellbeing Wednesdays, Suhani. You are termed as Jadugar.
Yes.
So, we are pleased to have you with us. Let me begin with a very basic question to set the context. How did it all begin? You're a mentalist, you're a YouTuber, you're a magician. How did it all begin? What is your first memory of magic, and how did you choose to do what you are doing today?
I was 6 years old. My first memory of magic I'm coming to. I was 6 years old and I watched a magic program on television, and I was absolutely in awe of how is it happening. And I remember walking up to my father and telling him that, Papa, mujhe jadoo karna hai. And he was like, "Ha, dada ki padhai kar." That's how it is, right?
Correct.
But then I kept walking up to him after every few days till I convinced him that I'm serious about what I'm talking, and it's not just like me saying every other thing every day. Because I realized even as a 6-year-old that my major task was only to convince my parents. Once they are convinced, then it's all the pressure is on them.
Right.
And I don't have to do anything. So once they were convinced, then my father told me, I remember him asking me that if you want to perform magic, we won't do it in a school or a college. It has to be like a big stage show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. Like, for me, it didn't really matter where I'm performing till I'm performing.
Right.
And then I was okay with it. And then the quest started to find people who could teach me magic.
Right.
And it took like a really long time. It was a very tedious process because we're talking about times 25 years ago.
Right.
Today we have the YouTube. Today we have courses. Today the access is easier. But that is the time we didn't have the internet. Computers had just come to India. And we were trying to meet people who could teach me magic, and magicians don't teach magic. That's the primary rule. After a lot of drama, I'm just going to cut the show short. We found a group of people who assist magicians in their show. And then my father requested the group to teach me magic. Took time, but they got convinced. And the family, like the man of the family was the main light and sound technician. The lady was the main assistant to the magician. The two sisters of the lady were the side assistants. The entire family, the entire khandan was like from the magic fraternity. And they would make so usually magicians train assistants. For me, it was the other way. The assistants actually made me the magician.
Lovely.
And yeah, after all of this, 10 months of rehearsals, and 22nd of October, 1997, I did my first ever stage show in Gujarat, Ahmedabad, and that's how it all began.
Lovely, lovely. There's a very strong message in what I heard you saying. Never underestimate the people who work with you. That's
absolutely. I mean, whatever I am today is because of what people made me.
Right.
In fact, even at the point of when I wanted to learn, so I quit school after the first standard.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew the person who pulled curtains in my show had studied till 4th.
Right.
So a little bit of maths I know is from that guy. I think I am because of the people around me.
Lovely.
And it doesn't really matter whether they were my classmates or older or younger, backstage artists, onstage artists. They were just people.
Right.
From whom you could learn.
Absolutely.
And that's what mattered.
Lovely. So, honey, you are a magician, but you're also a mentalist. Now, a lot of us don't understand what a mentalist is. So, can you explain the difference between who a mentalist is and who a magician is?
Sure. So, in one line, every every mentalist is a magician. Not every magician is a mentalist. Now, to give you an example of another art form like comedy, if you understand comedy, you would know comedy has various genres like tropical, improv, crowd work, or let's take dance, various dance forms like kuchipudi, salsa, bharatnatyam, hip hop, tap dancing, contemporary, and so on. Similarly, magic is the parent category and it has various genres like escapology, illusions, street magic, pickpocketing, juggling, parlor magic, mentalism, and so on. So, magic and then various genres of magic, and mentalism is a subgenre of magic. So, I am a mentalist, but I'm also a magician. But not every magician you meet would be a mentalist.
Right.
So in India, it's not very popular because people aren't too aware. But like if you meet a dancer, you tend to ask, "Oh, what kind of dance?"
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, if you meet a magician or if you meet a doctor, you said, "Okay, what kind of doctor?"
Right.
Similarly, in India, if you meet a magician, you should always tend to ask what kind of magic, and the person will go on to say whether he or she is a mentalist or an illusionist or escape artist or whatever genre they opt.
Is mentalist another word for mind reading?
Mind reading again is a part of mentalism.
Okay.
It's not just mind reading. So every mentalist does effects involving human mind.
Mm-hmm.
So mind reading comes out as the most primary thing a mentalist would do.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also involve things like predicting the future, telling you something about your past, getting into hacking phones, and anything that has to do with people's minds. It could be body language understanding, it could be neurolinguistic programming, it could be micro expressions, it could sometimes be just linguistic deception. It may not involve any other therapy or any other kind of tactic. It could just be the way we talk. And that could make a lot of difference.
Lovely, lovely. It's just leading me to a point to understand, that magic and its various forms are not just about an art, but there's a lot of science behind it. So, Hani, I represent an area called well-being, right? And it's all about mind, body, soul, etc. And I believe that our brains are equipped as a very powerful part of our machinery called human body, right? Now, is the power of your brain that you have achieved today, is it a result of a continuous and conscious practice? Can any human achieve the expertise with practice and consciousness, or is it something that is uniquely unique to you, or something that you're blessed with?
Firstly, I feel everybody is blessed with some or the other talent in art or somewhat. The art of mentalism is a skill. It's a learned art form. And anyone can do it if they have the dedication and passion towards it, just like any other art form. Okay. Having said that, you would sometimes notice like there will be like a 5-year-old kid doing like absolutely amazing paintings without any formal training in fine arts. Correct. Because we say that some people are just gifted. They have the art in them.
Correct.
Similarly, even in magic, you can sometimes find somebody who's in mentalism or in magic is so good. It's just so good that they might not need that many years of practice. Okay, but it's just like any other art form. I am not putting mentalism on a higher or a lower pedestal. I have great love and respect. And of course, I always love my art form more than anyone else's. But then if I love my art, I also love and respect all the other art forms. The idea is, just as I said, if you take magic just like any other art form, then you'll get all your answers. But just because magic has the element of mystery, the element of secret, rahasya, just because it has those things, people don't understand what is happening. So if you see a painter painting, you can see empty canvas, he takes brushes, he starts painting, and the painting, you've seen the process. So you know how it happened. When you see somebody dancing, you know steps 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. You know it. You see it happening. In magic, you don't see it happening. If I make somebody disappear, how did that happen? You didn't see it happening because you cannot see the process.
Mhm.
Hence, there is so much mystery around it.
Right. Right.
But that will always be a mystery. No magician will reveal the trick. But I always say this, that take magic like any other art form and you'll have a lot of your answers.
Right. Right. So, Suhani, when we're talking about being able to read people's mind, for you, in your experience, has it been a blessing, other than the professional part of it, has it been a blessing, or do you think it sometimes makes things very boring because it's everything is so predictable, you know what the other person is thinking? And do you think people become conscious while talking to you? I mean, I am feeling conscious that you may be knowing what I'm thinking, so do you find that people are conscious when they're speaking to you?
Quite an interesting question, Mr. Narula. Firstly, I don't think I give a very intimidating or a very difficult vibe. I think I'm very easy to talk to, and I try to maintain that bit. And especially if you meet me in person, you'll see I'm a very chill, very approachable person. So I try to maintain that people do come and talk to me because I love talking to people. But other than that, it's very important to understand again that it's an art form. It's not miracle. It's not something that I'm I just see people and I know it. Also, the little bit that I would want to know about the person for my performance, I have to be extremely observant in doing that. So, and I don't want to be that observant all the time. I want to be really lighthearted and free in my mind to do whatever I want to do. So that doesn't happen. Now, whether it's a boon or not, it's quite tricky because I, as a mentalist, always feel that you should only know about a person as much as the other person wants you to know. Else, it can be a hindrance to your relationship, friendship, whatever you're trying to make. Because आपको हर चीज एक समय पे पता चलनी चाहिए. Like when you go on your first date, for example, you should not know everything. That won't work well. You should only know this much in your first meet, and then this much in the second, and this much in the third. Now, if I know this much in the first meet, it's not going to work. Maybe that's the reason I'm single.
But I think there's a lot of consciousness, like I said, that when you're getting yourself trained, I think there's a lot of consciousness that you need to bring to yourself when you are relating with people once you know this form of art. So Hani, what you do is extremely powerful. This could be useful to everyone provided they develop this skill. And imagine somebody going for a sales meeting, or when you're interviewing people, or like you said, when somebody is proposing to someone and you know what is going on in people's mind, provided you really want to know. But honestly, is there something that you suggest that people do so that they can channelize the mental thoughts so that they could build a happier place on this earth? Because you have the power, you have the you can channelize what you're thinking towards anyway. But is there a way that people can create happiness and joy for themselves, and if each one does that, it'll help?
Absolutely. But I don't know how is that connected to mentalism, because I think people should in general be kind. I think people should in general be kind and sweet and polite, and there's a lot of technology out there, there's a lot of toxicity out there. I think people should just in general be the one who's spreading love, spreading kindness, spreading happiness around. How does mentalism? I think if you learn any skill where you have control over your own mind first, we talk a lot about mentalism, talks a lot about controlling other people's minds and influencing their choices and trying to figure out what they're trying to think. Yeah, this is a very far cry. I think the first thing always comes about controlling your own mind, understanding yourself, having self awareness.
Mhm.
A lot of times I ask people, "Oh, what happened? How are you feeling?" I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? If you don't know how you're feeling, who else is going to know?
Right.
So, journaling helps, identification, therapy helps.
Mhm.
A lot of things are there. So, I think mental health section needs to be a lot more out there, accessible, and
Mhm.
the taboo around it should be removed.
Mhm.
That can happen with many ways. I try to do it with my own art. When people tell me about mentalism and how they can learn and things like that, I'm like, this is an art.
Mhm.
And today you just saw me perform mentalism and hence you want to do mentalism. Tomorrow you see somebody dancing really well, you want to dance.
Mhm.
It should not be influential.
Right.
Passion, art forms are not something you just get influenced and you want to do it.
Mhm.
Okay. It should always be something that should come to you from within. So
Mhm.
I think knowing yourself, being more self aware, having a positive self talk, being kind to yourself, all these things are way more important and should be done in the first place before you go out and do anything else
Mhm.
for a better world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Swani, examination season is here, right?
Both it's
Is there something that you would want to share that can help students remember things better than struggling to mug up as we are typically used to in India?
okay. Dude, I've written an entire book on memory. So I don't know which one should I really talk about. But if I have to give one, if I have to give like basic tip to the students out there, it would be more like, first of all, before I even give the tip, dude, I haven't been to school. I don't know if I'm even the correct person to give the tip right there. Okay. I haven't given exams in my life. So I don't know if I'm the right person, but I always say this and I want to reiterate that for kids and for everybody else. Two things. Um, as much as you take the pressure of exams, always remember everything happens for good. And if you have a career, no one can stop you from making that career. You just need to be passionate enough for it. So you need to find the perfect balance between taking the exam pressure because you have to study really well. And if you don't take that pressure, you may just be lazy and not pay attention and not consider this as an important part of your life. So you have to find the passion, to find the balance between finding that pressure, exam pressure, and being like, it is okay. It is fine. मेरी जिंदगी खत्म नहीं होगी. So first thing is finding that balance. And second thing I will say always to everybody, not just to kids having exams, but to everybody would be have your basics sorted. This is for you and me as well. When I
Right.
say basics sorted, I only mean 8 hours of sleep, 2-3 liters of water, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 45 minutes of exercise.
Mhm.
If you can add a little bit of mindfulness, prayers in the day, which will be even better for your spiritual growth, which is your personal choice, hence I can't say it. But these four, although they sound basic, I think they're the most difficult things to achieve.
Absolutely.
8 hours of sleep, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 45 minutes of workout, and water. But if you find this habit from start, like
Mhm.
during exams days and before that, I think it's easier to maintain it as you grow older.
Right. But I think there's a lot of responsibility that the parents have because, not everybody is surrounded by the environment where you want to pursue your passion. Every child is blessed with some talent, inherent talent, and it is upon recognizing that talent and let the child pursue it. We are always trying to push the child to follow and improve on the weakness, and in the bargain we do not let the child actually strengthen the strengths that they already have. So I think this message should be more for the parents as well,
Yeah.
to let children be and not create a stress in their life. So that's a brilliant message that you gave, and like you said, basics are always the toughest part to do. Now, also for people like us who are aging, we are on the other side of the age, and you know is there some technique in mentalism, something which is not uh, you know kept hidden or not a mystery to be divulged, which can help people remember things? Because you have these people who start forgetting stuff. Is there some
Yeah.
technique that can actually help people remember things better?
There are quite a few. I'm just trying to think which one can I give out. They might not always be a part of mentalism per se, because although mentalism deals with a lot of memory things, it doesn't primarily have techniques for memory, but there's some concept in mentalism used for something else which we won't get into. But it's called, I mean, I don't know if it's there or I created that statement for me to remember it well, but I call it thought to a dot. So what I really do is, if there is something I want to remember on a primary basis, for example, smile more often, or have water, or take a deep breath, or call your mom, or anything, call your kids, or go for a walk, take your medicine. These are things we want to remember every day, maybe thrice a day, 4 times a day. So what I do is, you take a pen and I make a dot here. But the point is, when I'm making the dot, I say the thought.
Okay.
So in your mind, at a subconscious level, the thought and the dot has gone in together. So the moment you look at the dot, the thought will come to you. So you don't need another person to remind you to take your medicine or to remind you to smile more often. So for me, it's like, if I'm looking at the dot, I'll be like, smile. If I'm driving my car. So, it's like thought to a dot. That's a very simple concept. But as I always say, simple things are way more powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is brilliant. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I'm going to try it.
Let me know how it works for you.
Absolutely. On one of the platforms, when my team was researching a little bit about you to formulate the questions, there was something that came up that, you mentioned that you went through some rough patch in terms of acceptability and self-doubt. Is that correct? Sometime in your life, you did?
Yes.
Now, why did that happen? And what is it that you did to overcome that situation? Can you share your learning?
Sure. The acceptance and self-doubt was, I think, first of all, self-doubt though is there. Imposter syndrome, it just keeps coming to you every now and then. I think it's just that now I've learned to deal with it better. It's not that the doubt has gone anymore.
Right.
But other than that, if I talk about acceptance, in the growing up years, when there's a girl, Marwadi ladki, Rajasthan, Udaipur ki, जादू करती है, स्कूल नहीं जा रही है, शादी कौन करेगा इससे, इसका क्या होने वाला है भविष्य में, इसको कुछ आता ही नहीं है, जादू क्या होता है, सड़क पे लोग दिखाते हैं. Statements like this from your own relatives when you're 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, trying to follow your passion, is something that affects your mind. My parents kept me very protected. I've got amazing parents. I've got an amazing brother. Kept me very protected and very motivated to follow my passion. But then these keep coming to you. Even in teenage, you sometimes feel, am I doing the right thing? Everybody is like studying and going to bigger colleges, and somebody's moved to the US, and somebody's moved to the UK, somebody's gone to Germany, somebody's gone from Ahmedabad to Delhi to study, and they're in biggest of colleges, and I'm there performing my shows every day. So I'm I don't know if you know, but I was a very desi kalakar, very traditional magician, where you perform magic for a month in an auditorium in the name of Jadugar Suhani. You perform 2 shows a day, 3 shows a day. Then you go to another city and you repeat. Circus format, but only magic and in an auditorium.
Right.
So you see, everybody's doing everything, and I'm still in this auditorium performing shows every day. And just next month, another city, next month, another city. So of course, those doubts come, whether I'm doing the right thing or not, what is happening in my life. But the good part, how I overcame it, I think time. The one thing I knew, that no matter whatever the world is doing and my self-doubt, I know one thing, that what brought me happiness was being on stage.
Okay.
And for me, doing what makes me happy was very important. So I could have left magic and did something else, but then my love was magic. Just being on stage every day, performing every day, even though it's doing the same thing, doesn't really matter. Some days it gets tiring, but then that's every life, right? That's okay. That's just being too greedy. So I think being consistent
Mm-hmm.
is the magic.
Lovely.
If I would have just left it at 17, I would
Mm-hmm.
have just left it at 20. I would have just left it at 26. I don't know what would I be doing today. But I think following your heart is very important. Following, like, you need to ask yourself कि मुझे सच में करना क्या है? मुझे मजा किस में आ रहा है? And then you just do that. And it's very important that you do that. And I just did that. I think I followed my passion, and I'm so glad. And I really want to thank myself and my parents for not letting me quit. And even in those self-doubt days, be like, "Theek hai, kar le. You love it, so do it." And I'm glad I did not, because now I don't plan to leave it at all.
So consistency in following your passion is the magic behind the magician.
Yeah. You might not get what you want today, but be consistent. Have faith in yourself and in your passion, and you will get there.
Yeah. I read it sometime back in one of the books, which said that you may not get something today, but someday you'll get that something. So
Yeah.
I think that was very powerful. And that's exactly what lesson I'm listening to from your story. So honey, you evolved to be a digital creator, and you have a channel on YouTube. And you call that's my job. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What is it that you do, and what is it that you're trying to achieve from there?
So during the pandemic, I've been performing all my life. When I say all my life, from the age of 7. Okay. And pandemic was the first time, from the age of 20s, from the age of 7, pandemic was the first time where I was not going on stage for 2 months, 3 months. For a time I don't know. Like, there was uncertain of when I'm going to get on stage next. For me, it was an identity problem. For others, it was a problem of not having work, not having food, people being ill, and a lot of other problems. For me, it was an identity problem. I don't know who I am if I don't go on stage. For me, going on stage was like having breakfast, lunch, dinner. Suddenly, after like 20 years, you tell me you're not going to have dinner. I'm like, okay, how long? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't know what to do. Like, I need to know. That's my identity. So the closest thing to being on stage would be talking to people online. In those days, that was the only thing I could think of. So I did have a YouTube channel already, but it was not very active channel. So I started getting active there. I started streaming on YouTube, where I used to just go chill, talk to people, have fun. I honestly thought, what interest would people have in my life if I'm not performing magic? And I was completely wrong. People did have a lot of interest. And I think pandemic was the time that got all of us together, closer.
Right.
So I started streaming online. My channel name is Suhani Shah only, my name only. But on the channel, one day, I'm a person who really likes to play games. In general, I just like playing games. So I started creating. So we just were talking. One of my comedian friends tell me, there's this idea. Why don't you call some friends and tell people to guess professions? Then I called another 2 comedian friends of mine. I was like, I'm thinking of this concept. Would you like to take part? So the 2 comedians, Sapan Verma, Sahil Shah, agreed. And then we did 1 episode where the idea of that's my job. We give the name, the game show, the name of That's My Job. The idea of the game show is there are 2 celebrities. There are 4 participants. These 2 celebrities have to figure out what is the profession of this participant by asking them yes/no questions. There are, of course, a little bit more of layering to it. There are a little more rules to it. If they're able to guess it, great. If they're not able to guess it, this participant gets to give a dare to the celebrities. Now, the concept was very simple. We wanted to have fun with a unique concept and spend time together, chill. But the larger thought was so as a magician, I know how much I've been looked down upon, and how much, the profession has not been respected for a very long time. And I realized how every profession is so important. From a person who sells vada pav, to the pilot, to the poker player, to the maid in my house, to the driver, to the lift man, to everybody, how every profession is important, and how everybody should take pride in what they do. So from the movie Rais, there's a Shah Rukh Khan dialogue. Koi dhanda chota ya bada nahi hota, aur dhande ka koi dharam nahi hota. Something like that. Not exactly, but something like that.
Yeah.
And I love that concept. So this was one platform where I had to get, like, a plumber and a pilot would sit on the same platform. like a psychologist and a journalist would be on the same platform. And I didn't know people loved it so much. We did 4 seasons of it. It became internet's highest watched live game show ever. Didn't plan to make it, but people gave it so much love and we had fun. So that's how it happened.
Lovely, lovely. And Suhani, you also do something called Susha Squad. What is that?
It's not something that's created by me. So from the time I started streaming, internet has this thing of creating communities. So everybody that used to watch me and come be with me, our Discord community, we wanted to give it a name. So I asked people only, and then from the chat, and everybody started recommending different names. And one of the name came out as Susha Squad. Susha is Suhani Shah in short, Susha, and Squad is the squad.
Got it.
So people gave this name. So they gave me Susha as my internet name,
Mhm.
and they gave Susha Squad as the community game name. And I absolutely love it. And I'm absolutely grateful to them for such an amazing name and such a beautiful community that
Right.
we have built. Really, thank you.
Lovely. Lovely. Suhani, you just completed your 20 plus city tour. Is that correct?
Yes, 25, 28.
25 city tour.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about your experience on this tour compared to your past experiences. How,
This
how
tour
did
was
it help you to evolve?
outstanding. This tour was just out of the world. I mean, you see the smile on my face? I'm so lit up suddenly when you spoke about
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it. Because I have been performing all my life. But
Uh-huh.
the 2 years of pandemic that didn't let me perform, in between we did do some small shows. But so I started my career as an illusionist. An illusionist is 2 trucks of goods, 30 people to assist me, larger than life acts. I fly in the air, cut a person into half, and things like that. From that, I turned to a mentalist where there are no props, just me and the audience and the mic. Now, and a lot of magicians, mentalists in India, we would perform at comedy clubs, small clubs, lounges. And I was like, that mentalism deserves better.
Mhm.
Magic deserves better.
Mhm.
And it needs to be performed with that respect. But the problem was the production was too high. And we
Mhm.
would not know that if we could get that, like we could sell so many tickets and will people understand? Because as we started this conversation, a lot of people don't even know what mentalism is.
Right.
But I was like, high time. It was my last year, the tour was celebrating my 25 years in magic.
Mhm. Wow.
So I was like, 25 years, the art form has gave me too much. It's made me who I am. So I'm ready to go all out. So we pumped in all the money. We put a really high production, LED screens, visual artists. It had an entire storytelling format. And we took magic to the kind of shows I used to do previously, which is larger than life, but mentalism.
Right.
And we did like biggest auditoriums. We did Royal Opera in Mumbai. We did Kalib in Delhi. We did like all the biggest auditoriums.
Mhm.
We were very doubtful of, will people understand what we're trying to do? Will they buy tickets? Will this happen? We were like, I just feel very weird saying this myself, but we were like all sold out. And like for Bombay, we were sold out 10 days in advance.
Lovely.
For Hyderabad, we sold out, we did another show. Bangalore, we did 3 shows, and we were like so much in demand, like perform here, perform there. So it was great 25 years celebration. And we will continue the tour now. So I'm going to resume the tour again from March onwards, and we will be back on the ground, going to auditoriums, city to city, back, bringing back my old vibe, perform city to city, travel with your troupe to every place, and just keep performing and make people smile and make them believe in wonders and make them believe that anything is possible in this world.
Lovely. Lovely. So, Suhani, I'm coming back to mentalism. Mentalism is a science as well as a form of art, because just knowing the sign or getting skilled in it does not just help. I mean, you need to be able to uh, engage with your audience and present it in a very beautiful manner. Uh, any advice for the younger generation who would want to pursue this art and turn that passion into a profession?
If you want to learn mentalism, I say first start with magic. When I say magic, I mean basics of magic. So, in basics of magic, you will learn a little bit about every art form, every genre of magic, I mean. Okay, a little bit of close up, a little bit of illusion, a little bit of parlor, a little of sleight of hand. So just understand the basics of magic first and start performing that. Okay, because an amateur, a beginner magician it's magic is the last thing important in magic is the tricks. The most important thing is your presentation, is your storytelling.
Right.
Okay, there's a difference between a magician, an artist, a good magician, and a bad magician. Okay, one is you can just perform trick, and those tricks you can get from YouTube. You can get from everywhere.
Right.
Getting tricks is not a difficult task now anymore. Okay, but the bit is about how you make that your own and what experience do you give to your audiences.
Got it.
Whether it's 2 people, whether it's 300 people or 3,000 people, doesn't really matter. It's not about showing a trick, it's about giving an experience to them. So start with magic. Figure out what is your style, what is your pattern. Build up your confidence initially in talking to people, approaching people. Find your balance, find your core, because mentalism is an art form. You can't just start with it.
Right.
You need a lot of practice, because a lot of times you will go wrong in mentalism. Like if you suppose have a card trick or a prop in your hand, if things go wrong, you have something to hold on to. In mentalism, you're literally naked there. You have to read people's mind, otherwise there's nothing else to do.
Right.
So if you mess up, you need to be extremely confident to deal with that mess.
Got it.
So you need to have that command on your language or your performance style, or you need to know how to deceive them linguistically and things like that. Right. So I would say start with basic magic, find your space, find your style, find your character in it. When you feel confident, when you feel good in your element, when you feel confident enough going to in front of people, then you move towards learning mentalism.
And what's the future of magic in a world that is going to be powered by technology in the coming times?
It's even better. Because I think magicians are the ones who's going to keep the wonder alive. Okay. Today we know everything becomes technology. Also, as the advancing of technology, magicians are also getting challenged. Okay. कि हाँ, this तो तुमने, like sometimes I do something, अच्छा ये तो audio note पे हो गया होगा, अच्छा ये तो voice command दे दिया होगा, which is not true. But the more technology is advancing, the magicians are being challenged to be more innovative, to be more creative with what they do, which is a great thing. But I think as the advance of technology, art form is also getting advanced. People find their technology has both the good, the bad, the ugly. It has everything, correct? But it also gets your mind stressed. So art is where people find rescue. Art is where people find their peace. Good art is always introspective. That makes you makes you wonder and think. And magic being a beautiful art form like that will always get better. I think people will now look, like I'm in the industry for 25 years and I've seen how more people watch magic today than what they have seen 25 years ago. In fact, I see now the youth is also interested. Like previously, bolte the, "Arey jadoo hai to bachcho ko dikha do." Birthday party magic. It's not that anymore. The reputation of the art form is changing quite a bit. All age groups enjoy magic. All genders enjoy magic. Corporates, kids, everybody, they just love the art form. Now they have more awareness of it. Even magicians are getting better at it. So I think we have a long way to go. I mean, we have come a long way in India to get the respect the art form needed. So I feel very happy about it, but I will feel like we still have a long way to go. It has a lot more, the art form has a lot more potential.
Right. But it's, I think it is evolving to becoming a fulfilling profession now, and that is very beautiful. So, Suhani, you've written a few books. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about the books and which is your favorite and why is it so your favorite?
I first of all love the homework that you and your team's done. Because in any interview or the podcast or whatever I do, not everybody knows everything that I've done. They would always miss out 1 or 2 bits. But this is like, you have like, oh, this. I'm like, okay, now I know this also. So I didn't go to school after first standard, but at the age of 14, 15, my father wanted me to write a book on my experiences, because as a little girl in India, who's doing these magical feats, people start to believe that you have some supernatural power, you have some Devi Shakti, you have some, ये तो कुछ पुनर्जन्म का चमत्कार है. And I know that's not true. I know what I'm performing is an art form. So, people would walk up to me after my show asking me कि, like कानपुर में there's a चोरी हुई, आप जादू से बता सकते हो चोरी किसने करी है, कोई बीमार है तो आप हाथ लगा के उसे ठीक कर दो. Things like that kept happening. So my father asked me to write a book on my experiences, and at the age of 14, and I did not know how to read and write because, of course, didn't go to school. So at the age of 14, I started working on my language. I worked on English, maths, and science. Maths and science abhi bhi kamzor hai. English, I'm still working on. So I wrote my first book, which we did not publish because we didn't find it good enough. But that gave me an experience on how a book is written. And then I wrote another book, refining the previous one. And we titled this as Unleash Your Hidden Powers, published by Jaico Publications. And that got a really good response. I never expected it, but then people loved it. So then I wrote 3 more books. And yeah, then I was called for talks and training programs and yeah, all of that.
And who is the Jadukarni's favorite magician? Who inspires you or inspired you?
I don't have like one magician I really admire. I'm a very greedy person in a way where I just take like all the good things from everybody. Like I see one magician and you're like, "Arey, uska style bahut acha hai. Can I?" So I feel I get inspired very easily. So I'll be like, "Acha, I should also try something like that. Oh, he did this. Oh, she did so." So I'm somebody who takes. I feel everybody has good in them. Take that, learn that from them, and just move on. But very honestly, who the real magician is. On stage, when I make a person disappear, everyone's logic knows, your intelligent mind knows that the person's hiding somewhere. Okay.
Right.
But it is performed in a way that your mind starts to believe that the person has disappeared.
Right.
So what I did on stage was a trick. Your mind turned it into magic. So who's the real magician?
Your mind.
It's your mind. It's your thoughts that does the real magic. And I always say that thoughts are the real magic. Everything else is just...
The brilliantly explained, Suhani. Suhani, any message that you have for the world based on the power of psychology?
Based on any power, I just have one message. I think everybody is very intelligent. They have all the knowledge in their hands. We are no one to teach anyone anymore. But there's one thing that I would request everybody, and that is be a kinder person. Be a nicer person. I'm sure you are nice. Try to be nicer. I'm sure you're already kind. Be a kinder person. Spread more love. Help people around you. Be kind. I know what I say might sound absolute cliche, but cliches are true. They always help. So if you're reading comments, if you're on the internet, there's a lot of toxicity out there. If you read like there's all toxic bad comments, be that one person dropping the red heart, telling people to be kinder. Help be kinder to your parents when you talk to them. Talk softly to your kids. They love each other. Just you know the drill, guys. You know what to do. तो मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ, लोग बोलते हैं ना क्या फील्ड लेना चाहिए यार, किसमें ज्यादा स्कोप है. And I always keep saying, there's a quote in my studio outside which says, इंसान बन जाओ, बहुत स्कोप है. So that's the only thing I want to tell people.
Beautiful message, Suhani. There is so much more to you than being a magician, mentalist, or a YouTuber, which is which I'm listening to today. But Suhani, I see a drum set behind you, and I know this is something that is I'm catching you by this thing that do you play drums?
I'm learning drums.
Would you want to play something for us?
Dude, I think my impression so far is like really good, Mr. Narula. I don't think I should do that now. We could have started with that. But no, I always feel that every 2 years or every year and a half, I pick up something new that I want to learn to like something completely different than what I already know. That's like my detox or whatever. So I'm currently learning drums.
Awesome.
I just know the very basic beats, which is not impressive enough so far. But I'll call you like maybe a month later and I'll just...
I will look forward to that. And Suhani, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you because you know I think you're blessed with two things. One, you're blessed with uh, great parents, because it is their conviction in your passion that they saw that led them to take the biggest risk any parent would have ever taken, to allow you to leave school and learn from the journey of life and be who you have become today. Second is, I mean, you're blessed with an infectious smile. I know that dot somewhere is there every time, but you're blessed with an infectious smile, and all I can say is that you have a powerful message that you gave us today, that consistency in your
In following
following
your
of your
passion.
passion is what can drive you to do the best in whatever you're doing. And I wish you the best for your tour, which you will get back to continue starting March. And it has been a pleasure speaking with you. It's probably one of my happiest and joyous interviews.
I'm so glad I could make you smile and make you feel happy at your work.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful chat, honestly. And we usually keep doing interviews, but a lot of times not everybody knows so much about me. So you did know, and your team did a quite good research. So kudos to that. And thank you so much for having me and thinking of me for this interview, because you're just another way of how I can talk to the world, and you gave me that opportunity. So thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you, and I hope to meet you in person very soon.
Absolutely. Look forward, Swani.